Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. I just put a video up. It couldn't have been more than 15 or 20 minutes ago, and a friend of mine contacted me about the story I told about the kid that was told that she has to make good money so she can buy houses for other people who can't afford them later in life. And he told me a story. He started telling me something that happened with his son. And I know this guy. We've come to be pretty good friends fairly recently. So he doesn't strike me as a guy that's full of shit. I'm going to say that. He strikes me as a guy who's straight up. He's an honest dude, good guy. So I dislike stories that are told through a third person. But I asked him to make a video, and here's the problem. Some people he knows in his personal life know about his channel, and he's concerned that it'll cause trouble for his kid if he were to tell this story. So I'm going to tell this story. So I'm just going to call him Dad, and his kid, I'm going to call his kid Jay for this story. Here's what went down. Jay was getting ready to start school. He was getting ready to start kindergarten. This was last year now. Jay's dad, my friend, is a veteran. He served active duty in, I'm not even going to narrow it down that far. He served active duty. He was in combat. He taught his son, Jay, before starting school, he knew they're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning to the flag. So he taught his son how to do it. He taught him how to put his hand over his heart. It's a thing that the dads teach their kids a lot, Taught him to put his hand over his heart and say a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. He taught him the words. He taught him the cadence. And it was a father-son activity. And so here it goes. Jay goes off to school when school starts. He starts kindergarten. And he goes in there and he says the Pledge of Allegiance. And his teacher tells him that he said it wrong, because they don't say the part under God. One nation under God. They don't say that part. Now, I don't care what your religious perspective is. I really don't care. I'm not a religious person. But what I am is somebody who believes that you say the Pledge of Allegiance the correct way. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to come in here and argue, they changed that in 1957 or whenever the hell it was. They added in the under God. Yes, they did. They changed that in 1957 or 1964 or whatever fucking year it was. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. The people at that time wanted it inserted. They didn't alter the Constitution to do it. They didn't violate any part of the Constitution to do it. Please don't bring the silly argument of the Second Amendment on this either, or the First Amendment on this. Congress shall make no law, because it doesn't apply. That's not what that means. And I think the people who argue that, I think they friggin' know that's not what it means. They grasp onto something that'll give them what they want, right? Anyway, so at the end of the day, little Jay is told that he's saying it wrong. Little Jay comes home and he tells his dad, the teacher told me I said the Pledge of Allegiance wrong. Now, he didn't tell his dad why, so dad says, okay, no problem. Let's go over it and make sure you know it right. So the kid puts his hand over his heart and he tells the Pledge of Allegiance. He says the Pledge of Allegiance. And dad says, well, you said that, you got it all right. That's good. That's how you're supposed to say it. So, I guess dad was figuring maybe the kid made a mistake, first day at school, that kind of thing. So the next day, little Jay goes to school, and comes time to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, puts his hand over his heart, and he says the Pledge of Allegiance. One nation under God. And little Jay gets sent to the principal. That piss you off? That pisses me off. Anyway. So little Jay got sent to the principal. Little Jay comes home. He tells Dad what happened. Dad tells him that's how you say the Pledge of Allegiance. That's the words. It doesn't matter what they tell you, that is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So you go ahead to school and you say it the right way. So little Jay goes to school on the third day. And the third day, he says the Pledge of Allegiance correctly, and the teacher sends him to the principal's office again. The principal made the mistake of calling Dad and telling Dad, we're suspending little Jay because, little Jay is being disrespectful. Now, Dad goes up to the school, and he tells the principal, now you need to tell me how my son was disrespectful. Because, Dad's not the type to let his kid be disrespectful. And then the principal told Dad what the problem was. And Dad hit the roof. See, Dad is a veteran. Dad spilled blood on foreign soil. And Dad told that principal, there's no way you're going to tell my kid not to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag correctly. I don't care what your little opinion is of it. I'm a veteran. My son is going to say the Pledge of Allegiance to that flag correctly. The principal of the school rather wisely chose to rescind the threat of suspension of little Jay, and little Jay goes back to class. Well, this is only about a week and a half or so before the next meeting for the school board. So what Dad does is he goes around locally and he gathers up about 30 veterans that he knows personally, and they go to the school board meeting. Now here's the thing, right? The school board meeting, the members of the school board got wind, because this isn't that big a town. So the school board got wind of what Dad's doing, and he's going to show up with some veterans at this meeting. So they called the sheriff's department because they needed security. They needed protection from veterans at the school board meeting. So I went to the school board meeting with about 30 vets, and the school tried to argue their point that this isn't how we say it, this will offend certain people, we don't want to offend anybody. To which Dad responded, that's my flag. I fought for that flag, I spilled blood on foreign soil for that flag, and nobody is going to tell my kid to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag incorrectly, because it might offend somebody. I don't care who it offends. That's how the Pledge of Allegiance to that flag that I fought for, that I spilled blood for, that all these guys here fought for, that's how it's said. What gives you the right to tell my son he can't say the Pledge of Allegiance the correct way because it might offend someone? If it offends you to hear the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, you shouldn't be in our schools. You shouldn't be here. Learn to deal with it. Funny how, now this is me taking over, it's funny how this whole, accept other cultures' diversity thing, it's funny how that only applies to everybody other than mainstream America. See, we can be offended. We can have our rights trampled on. Our children can be told in school that they're not allowed to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag correctly, regardless of what your opinion on the religious aspect of that is. That's the way it's said. End of story. It's funny how those kids can be told, you can't say that because it might offend somebody. Yet now there's these other stories that have been all over the news about little Muslim kids who are, they changed the word God to Allah in a lot of curriculums in this country now, because it might offend the poor Muslims to use the word God instead of Allah. Our founding documents say God. Our money says God. Our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag says God. It does not say Allah. See, if our laws were based on the Islamic principles, on Sharia law, women would be possessions. Children would be allowed to be stoned to death if they dishonored or displeased their dad. Women who aren't married can be burned or stoned to death for dishonoring their family in any way. Is that America? No, that's not America. So what about me being offended? What about little Jay's family being offended that he's not allowed to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag correctly? What about that? See, this is what I'm talking about in that video where we choose our battles. That man chose his battle, and he went in there and he won. I might not win the battle that I'm prepared to have this Wednesday, but that's not going to stop me, because I'm not going to stand by and let my rights be trampled on, and I'm not going to stand by and let my kid be indoctrinated into some system, and I hope that none of you will either. So I was inspired by my friend's story. He went and he served his country, regardless of what you think about the war. He went and served his country. He went and spilled blood for his country. He was sent home because he was shot. And he is still patriotic. Who the hell has the right to tell his children that they can't say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag or anything else he raises them to see the way that he sees it? The children are his, not the school systems, not mommy governments. Stop letting them raise your kids, people. Stop. That is why we're at where we're at. That's why they've been able to do this. They've hijacked the fucking system. Don't let them keep going. Shine a light on those cockroaches, because you know what happens when you shine a light on a cockroach? It scatters. Shine a light on those cockroaches, and make sure you tell your kids about it, and they tell their kids about it. Because the cockroaches, they're not going to stay gone. They're going to scatter into the cracks and hide. And they're going to come back when they think it's safe for them to start trying to subvert the Constitution again. Don't let it happen. Make sure you tell your kids. Tell the stories. Don't keep that shit to yourself. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.